Geno Smith, the newest Las Vegas Raiders quarterback. And wow, this was just a surprising trade. The Raiders are completely pivoting off of their number one option, Sam Darnold, and heading to Geno Smith as their starting quarterback for the 2025 season. And it's looking beyond with a reported multi-year extension in the works for the veteran quarterback. Now, Smith was just traded for a third round pick, which will be the 92nd overall pick in the NFL draft. Yes, this is the pick that the Raiders got when the Jets acquired Devontae Adams, and that is the pick that is going to Seattle in this deal. So it was very interesting. On Thursday, Smith reported that since he was not able to come to a multi-year extension, that he wanted to seek out a trade, and ultimately the Seahawks got pretty busy, and we're already in talks with the Raiders on Wednesday about potentially trading Smith and DK Metcalf for Max Crosby. Obviously, we know Crosby signed a record-breaking extension with the Raiders, and then ultimately Friday came along, and Geno Smith is on the team, which is crazy to think about. Obviously, I think what happened was Sam Darnold looks like he's heading back to Minnesota, who was their top option. Obviously, they missed out on Matthew Stafford as well. And I think Smith was the veteran option. They're like, man, we could trust this guy for multiple years with Pete Carroll, who already has continuity with him. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go all in on him. Personally, on Seattle's side of things, this makes a ton of sense. You want to get younger at quarterback. You want to go get a franchise-type player. They were already looking like Geno Smith was going to be out in 2025, and here we are with him on a new team. Now, it looks like Seattle is leaning towards more of a retool versus a rebuild. But let's take a look if this is actually the right move for the Las Vegas Raiders going forward. Now, this is why it's very exciting as a Las Vegas Raiders fan, why you're getting Geno Smith. In 2022 and in 2023, with Pete Carroll at the helm, he passed for 3,953 yards per season, 25 touchdowns per season, only averaged 10 interceptions per year, 61.2 QBR, 67.3 completion percentage. He had a 17-15 record, ultimately wound up earning 2 Pro Bowl appearances. He earned a Comeback Player of the Year award as well. And we obviously know the comeback success story of Geno Smith, basically being forgot about backup quarterback after not panning out in New York, ultimately finding a home in Seattle and performing very well in 2022 and 2023 under Pete Carroll. You know, what Smith really excels at is his presence in the pocket. He understands coverages, and he also is a precision passer where he constantly makes throws that, you know, just kind of jump off the tape. Let's kind of break down some of these plays where the Geno Smith that the Las Vegas Raiders could be getting is a very exciting player. Now, here is the first play we're going to break down from Geno in 2024 on NFL Pro. So here's a play where Smith just honestly was one of the plays he was really good last year. And a lot of the time you'll watch the tape and see, man, Geno had a lot of good plays last season. But ultimately, as we go through this, you'll kind of see where the playmaking decisions are very concerning heading into next year. But this is one of the plays where you watch this and you're the Raiders and you have to be really excited about what you're getting at the quarterback position based on what you've watched in the last 2 years. So you're going to watch here, Geno is going to get a little bit of pressure in the pocket here, ultimately having a great read. He's going to get a 3-man pass rush. He's going to get kind of beat up right here, whoever their right tackle is. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but Geno steps up to the pocket, does a great job there, and then finds a way to throw an absolute dart in between 3 defenders right here for a 31-yard touchdown pass to the potential trade candidate DK Metcalf. And that's what Geno brings to the table. He has that precision and accuracy, and that is a strong suit of his game, is finding those tight windows and being able to make special plays like this. And that's why ultimately Geno can be a good quarterback still in Las Vegas. Let's pull up another clip from Geno right here. Here's another play that showcases Geno's precision as a passer on this play. As you can see, Geno is going to get a little bit of pressure from Fisk right here in the pocket. He's going to feel that presence, but he's not even going to look away from JSN. He is not worried about fitting a ball between 2 defenders and making an absolute dart for a touchdown pass right there. I mean, this is a special throw. You don't see many type of NFL quarterbacks with this level of accuracy that Geno Smith possesses on a play-to-play basis. And it's just a good read all around. He recognizes that the Rams are playing zone coverage, and he ultimately finds that soft spot in the zone, to find his receiver for a touchdown, and that's what you get from him. You get an accurate quarterback who's been a veteran in this league for a long time. He's seen coverages. He can make these plays in zone coverage and find these soft spots that ultimately lead to these big plays and touchdowns, which is another asset to Geno Smith's game that he provides over the past Raiders quarterbacks as they've been rolling out there over the past few seasons. Now, here's the last play that just really excites me. And, it's not talked about enough about how underrated of an improviser Geno Smith is in the pocket. I mean, watch this play. We're going to just play this through for you guys right here. Geno is just going to make a move that we don't expect out of Geno Smith. He gets pressure up the middle, finds a way to spin out of it, makes a crazy dot to DK Metcalf for a touchdown. I mean, not every quarterback in the NFL can do this, guys. I'm not sure Aidan O'Connell or Gardner Minshew is making a play like this that Geno makes here. Ultimately spinning off a defender, finding his way to step up in the pocket, still throwing a dot. Obviously, DK had to get open, but DK gets open. Smith opens his eyes back up down the field, and then he finds his receiver for a touchdown. And that level of improvisation is really elite for a quarterback at his age right now. Let's take a look at where the Raiders quarterbacks were at last year and how Geno's play, is a lot better than what we saw in Las Vegas last year. Here's a play where it just kind of showcases how much farther ahead Geno Smith is compared to where the Raiders were last year. We'll look at two plays from Aidan O'Connell this past season where it clearly showcases kind of Geno Smith's just more maturity as a quarterback in the NFL compared to what the Raiders were rolling out there last year. So you take a look at our boy Aidan O'Connell in the pocket back here. He's going to have no sort of pressure whatsoever, has a clean pocket at this point. At this point, he's staring down Jacoby Myers. He is his primary read at the bottom of the field here by the numbers, and he has separation. So basically what Myers is going to do is he's going to work towards the sideline for a wide open throw that should result close to a first down when Aidan O'Connell throws this ball. He holds on to it. It's not bad timing, but he throws it just a little out of reach of his receiver. And it's these little plays, especially against a division opponent like the Broncos, who were good last year, that just don't happen as often with Geno Smith. It's these plays that left the Raiders, chances against Kansas City, chances against the Chargers, chances against the Broncos on the table past last season, missing easy first down plays like this. And you can see Myers is just frustrated with the throw. I mean, you can look back at this point right before this throw. I mean, there's 3 yards of separation. If there's a better ball by O'Connell, it's an easy first down. Let's take a look at another play. Raiders fans, I am sorry for bringing up a PTSD play, but this is a perfect example of how bad the quarterback situation was in Las Vegas last season. Take a look at this play. Aidan O'Connell is absolutely going to fold under pressure, unlike our veteran boy, Geno Smith here. He's got pressure from the middle. He's got pressure from the outside. He's going to toss this off his back foot, guys. The line of scrimmage is over here at the 44. O'Connell makes his way back to the 32. Over 10 yards of depth is never a good sign for a quarterback. He's going to try to just loft the ball here. I think it's Trey Tucker who's over here. And then he just lofts it right to the defense. These plays are I don't know, they're mind-boggling. Like, what the Raiders had to deal with at the quarterback position last year was immensely bad. And that's where Geno Smith does provide that upgrade. He doesn't make the mistakes like this. He understands to get it out on time and to make plays that are ultimately better situationally, and he knows when to throw the ball away and not make boneheaded plays like this. The Raiders quarterbacks last year compounded mistakes and ultimately led to their downfall. Now let's talk about why you might be a little bit hesitant about Geno Smith going forward and why it might not be the right decision to ultimately offer him a multi-year deal worth $40 to $50 million. Now, after breaking down the good, we have to talk about the bad, and the bad was last season. Now, it wasn't all bad for Geno Smith, but the biggest number on here is the interceptions. The interceptions jumped from an average of 10 per season to 15 per season. Obviously, the Raiders quarterbacks we just broke down weren't exactly great at that either, but we will go over some of those reads where Smith really struggled. Besides that, the increased volume in the passing game for the Seattle Seahawks led to 4,320 passing yards. For Smith, he did wind up just barely crossing that 20 touchdown mark at 21 passing touchdowns at a 53.8 QBR, his lowest in his career. In Seattle, had a 70.4 completion percentage, which we didn't really expect much regression from that because he is a precision passer, but he did have a 10-7 record as well. So as long as, Smith won games in Seattle, he was the hero. But a lot of the times last year, he was throwing these boneheaded interceptions in the red zone and causing plays for the Seattle team that ultimately led to them not having the season that they wanted to have last year, despite having a really solid start to the year at 3-0. So we're going to break down some of the plays where Geno Smith showed signs of regression and why Raiders fans should be potentially concerned about Geno Smith as their quarterback one. Now, plays like this are what we saw too often from Geno Smith in 2024 this past year. Now, Geno ultimately, like I said, he kind of makes some plays in the pocket with his legs, and he's really accurate as a passer. Sometimes he tries to do too much, guys. And on the red zone this last year, I think it was the final 8 weeks where he was just immensely bad at turning the ball over in the red zone and ultimately stalled out a lot of Seattle drives. This is a perfect example of that. As a clean pocket here, can honestly hold this a second longer and look to his left and potentially check that ball down to the running back and at least get some yards. If not, you throw the ball out of the end zone and see to live another day. Geno drops back. Now, he has more pressure in his face and decides to chuck this ball up. Intercepted. This one is going to go all the way back and ultimately just changes the game at this point. I mean, you just can't have that happen as your starting quarterback in the NFL. And that's why it's a little bit concerning adding a guy like Geno Smith, who's not necessarily a top-tier option in this league, but the Raiders are going to pay him like he is. Here is another play of Geno Smith trying to play hero ball in the red zone and ultimately try to do too much on a play that he has no business trying to do too much on. He gets pressure early from the Green Bay Packers and decides that the corner route on the left side of the field is the best route to potentially score instead of just kind of grounding the ball or getting it out or even taking a sack. Instead, he tosses it up for grabs in double coverage and it's intercepted, stalling out another Seattle drive. If you make plays like this against Kansas City, the Chargers, or Denver 2 times a year when these games get close and it's these little mistakes that all these teams live on to win these games and make the playoffs, the Raiders have no business going anywhere. They can't afford to make one mistake like this. Despite Geno Smith being an overall better player than what they had at the position last year, these hero ball type mistakes from Geno Smith are not going to cut it for Las Vegas from a $40 to $50 million quarterback. That is everything and all the details that you guys need to know about this trade. Like I said, Geno Smith was an option for the Las Vegas Raiders at quarterback. It wasn't the first option. Ultimately, I don't necessarily think this is a great move for the Raiders. It's just replacing more mid quarterbacks with another mid quarterback. Geno Smith is not a top end of the league quarterback, and he's in a division where he's the 4th best quarterback. He is not as good as Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix, and he's the 4th best quarterback in that division. Ultimately, not ideal. Not ideal by any means. I think Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford would have made this team a lot better. Geno Smith is the guy. They're going to have to live with that for multiple years now, and they're probably going to wind up going Ashton Genty in the draft to completely fill this offense. Now, I mentioned how Smith showed signs of regression this past season. If he shows more signs of regression this year, the Seattle Seahawks are going to look like absolute geniuses and are going to be the clear winners of this trade. Now, as for Seattle, they have some work to do. They have to go find their quarterback of the future because I truly don't believe Sam Howell is the long-term answer for the Seattle Seahawks. And that guy that they could look at is potentially Jackson Dart or potentially adding a veteran quarterback for 1 year like Aaron Rodgers. We will see what happens in Seattle and how aggressive they want to be this offseason when adding a new quarterback. Ultimately, I think the Seahawks won this trade for now. Time will tell whether or not this is a good deal for the Las Vegas Raiders, and Smith is able to lead this team to the promised land in the AFC, which is just getting to the playoffs for the Raiders. Now, if you guys enjoyed this film breakdown and all the videos on Blitz Sports Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more content. We really appreciate it. And if you want to watch more videos in the future, hit that notification bell as well while you're at it. If not, we will catch you guys next time. And this is Ryan checking out.